Hello. So I realized that we didn't actually record like some of the beginning bit. I kind of just put it in text, so I'm going to do that since this is gonna be essentially a podcast. So hello. This is the start of the freaking thing. We start where everyone else, or we start where everything starts. The bedroom. As Peyton's character, her name is Sapphire. Shut up, Cal. Had a man fully drunk on a bed and is fully just stealing everything from him. Looks into his pocket, finds a card by the for an organization called Slip, and takes some money from him from his bag. And as he's waking up, he essentially leaves money at the door as well. So she leaves, grabs the money, gets home, finds that someone's calling her on a sending stone that she apparently got from another client that was like rich and had a magic item at some point in time. She answers, doesn't like the message that she got because it's something along the lines of, we need to talk, and she thinks it's a scam, but then someone starts knocking on her door, and it turns out it's one of the agents from that thing that she took the card, like, out of the pocket for the Slip organization. And as she goes to open the door, she realizes she needs to, like, basically book it. She tries to run, but gets a sharp pain in her side and then basically passes out. Next is Dio's character, aka Jesper. Jesper is searching around the streets trying to find someone that he recognizes so that he can apologize for essentially screwing over people with his art. So Jesper goes around, tries to find people, thinks that he recognizes someone, but then realizes, oh, this person is like, 3 feet shorter than they should be. Tries to, like, go and touch their shoulder to, like, fully talk to them, and the guy's just like, don't touch my shoulder, what are you doing, how dare you? Runs off. Jesper, seeing this, feels like he's a lost cause, goes to a church. The church is run by a like, really stupid man that seems to only care about the money that the church is going to be making, considering he has golden robes and, like, a golden pope hat. So Jesper tries to get any kind of any kind of, like, solace from this man, and he is not helping in any way, shape, or form. In fact, he is very much disheartening Jesper in the way that he's doing things. But as the priest goes to leave, a card seemingly falls out of their robe, and on the card it just says Silp, S-I-L-P. And Jesper, thinking, oh, this is something good that I can do, fully takes the card and like, looks at it, finds that there's a number for what is seemingly a sending stone / phone, and a return address. So he goes out to go and try and ask around to find the return address or a sending stone, finds that the little guy that he, like, interacted with before, the one that he thought he recognized, has a sending stone, just sees him walking and sees that there's a sending stone in his pocket. The little guy walks into an alley. Jesper follows him, realizes that there are 2 other people in the alley that are the same size as Jesper, attempts to get out of there, and turns around, immediately gets tased. Uh, then we have our final character, Soda, or Andros' character, Isabella. Isabella is working as a security for a meat shop and is trying to essentially make sure that everything is okay. Well, the manager isn't there. There is also a little gnome lad that sulks meat in the back named Little Gerald. And he's just kind of a little guy, you know. She asks Little Gerald to check a list after a man named Reginald Hardgraves comes into the meat shop looking for his order. Little Gerald is looking, and as he is, Isabella looks over and finds, oh fuck, the guy that was just in here is now being what seems to be flanked from behind by a shadowy, like a man with a hood over his head so that you can't see his like face and stuff. Looks back over at little Jasper, asks him essentially what to do, and looks back over to see if the guy is like still there. Both of them are gone. Both guys are gone. Goes over to go and like try and inspect what happened to these people that were just in the shop, and Gerald does like say, oh yeah, this guy did have an order placed for like some kind of meat. Finds a card left behind, seemingly where the person was, and this card has, I believe, I don't remember the. She finds a card that's labeled SPIL, spill, on it, and it has the same phone number and return address as Jesper's. Looking for the two people that disappeared, and going out into the street essentially to find out if they just kind of left. It turns out that the street corner that Isabella is working at is completely like dead silent, except for one guy that comes out of his shop and is currently like trying to board it up. Like, you know how they grab those things in the malls and like put them down and lock them so that people can't get in there. He's doing that, but with a like wooden version of that thing. He's closing his shop up, and in a hurry, he like basically starts to leave, turns to Isabel, tells her to get inside, and then dashes off. She does so, locking the door, and looks for a phone. She hears the door being slammed and goes to Gerald for comfort, but Gerald accidentally jump scares Isabella by appearing behind her. He was actually the one that was banging on the door, because apparently he got locked out. I forgot that he had a key. Isabella then, using a sending stone that's specifically meant for calling the manager, rings up the manager and finds out that apparently a gang was supposed to be coming into town, and that's why there's a bunch of people that just are missing and aren't at their typical like shop locations. And so Isabella understands why things are going on the way they are right now. She is specifically there to make sure that nothing gets like stolen and or broken into. But her manager says that everything should be fine. Uh, but also says that she's going to come back as soon as possible. Isabella tries to do tries to essentially go to the back room in order to make sure that everything is locked up because little Gerald is obviously not necessarily that reliable. The back of the meat shop, the back door to the back of the meat shop, shuts behind her, and the shadowy man from before uses a futuristic looking gun to essentially cause Isabella to have a headache so bad that she gets knocked out. And that's all that I have as far as the beginning part. Thank you. Hi. So here's the thing. I feel like a voice memo is going to be easier than just writing all of this down. Uh, I'm going to make a summary of it anyways, but that being said, I feel like it's easier to explain the batshit crazy things that happen just by, like, fully you getting it from my voice. So, I'm going to try and run down what happened after the introduction. The introduction happens, and then the three heroes find themselves in like one of those like sleeping pods that you would see in like Japan, if you know what I'm talking about. They find themselves in sleeping pods with little latches that they can unlock. They open the latches and immediately look at each other and say, "Ha! You're here! I'm gonna threaten you and figure out what the hell is going on." But none of them actually know what's going on. And as they like things settle down, they immediately look over at a ornate door with like some kind of brass doorknob that looks wooden in nature, and then they hear knocking coming from the other side. So two of them, Jesper and Sapphire, go over to try and block the door, but Jesper stops in the middle and Sapphire fully keeps running at the door. As the door basically slides open, the doorknob comes off as if it were a futuristic door that were to slide upwards, because they thought that the door was supposed to open like it was a pull door, not a push door from their side. But turns out it could move any way like it wanted to, and the doorknob was just essentially a trick. So Sapphire fully is running at the door, and it opens, and there's a man on the other side named Christopher Lake. He is dressed to the nines, red tie, black suit, black shoes, and like a fedora on. And he sits there. Well, he was the one that was knocking on the door, and as the door opens, Sapphire fully accidentally clotheslines the man. You ever seen like that old Charlie Brown cartoon where he goes flipping? That's what it looked like. It was very hilarious. And after that, Sapphire's fully still running away. And the other two immediately draw their weapons and start threatening the fancily dressed man as Christopher Lake tries to explain what's going on. He essentially tells them that he's here with Slip. He was the one that sent the people over to the place where they were to try and find them and bring them here. But unfortunately, the people that he sent were also technically new recruits, so they didn't exactly do the best job of like getting people. They weren't supposed to frighten them. It was supposed to be a like, "Oh, here's an invitation. Now come over to this place." But they didn't do that. It really sucked. Okay, I think that this has gone on for a little bit longer than it should. Give me 1 second, I got another one going. Okay, we're going to just talk about how Sapphire fully starts trying to run into the void and then immediately figures out, oh, once I get like 120 feet away from this guy, it essentially starts turning into a treadmill where if I keep starting to like run, it's not going to let me go any further, and it's essentially going to act like a wall and bounce me back. So Sapphire comes back to the others and also threatens Christopher with death. And Christopher essentially explains, oh, I'm your handler. I'm the person that's supposed to be introducing you to this organization and supposed to be testing you. And then he says, like, speaking of, he snaps his fingers as the white void that they were all in turns into some sort of training ground, like with grass floor and like a fake like sky, kind of like a child's like play place or something like that. And then these three are sucked into this place, and three goblins are already there, ready for them to take on. Immediately, Sapphire, specifically Peyton, rolls a natural 20 on his initiative check, which I'm going to be doing this thing where I essentially say, if you get a natural 20 on your initiative, then you get to like have a surprise round. If you get a natural 1, then you have to skip your turn. It's like a like, oh, pass fail kind of thing. So essentially, the Sapphire gets a natural 20 and immediately gets another natural 20 on one of these goblins, instantly like disintegrating him. And then Sapphire also gets to go first because, surprise, surprise, rogue. Immediately kills another one of the goblins, and then Jesper incinerates another goblin with spiritual flame. And since there's no other goblins for Isabella to fight, their handler essentially drops a like goblin, like painted on goblin style dummy from the roof and brings it to life, but it can't like do anything besides just like walk around. So it tries to go after Isabella, and immediately Isabella opens like a hole in the ground underneath the thing, so it's like a Looney Tunes style moment where the doll is running and then it looks down and immediately realizes that it's like above a hole and falls in. Then Isabella essentially buries it, so there's now a doll on the ground, and Sapphire immediately stabs it in the head, and all of the enemies are gone. They prove themselves, and Christopher brings them back into the white void that they were originally in, and that's where I'm gonna stop this one specifically. Okay, so Christopher essentially explains what slip means. It's secure, loot, immobilize, and protect. And then explains the job benefits. Essentially, there's you get to like choose your own like work. There's simple jobs, there's medium jobs, and then there's saving the world type stuff, which all of it pays pretty well considering their whole mission. Slip's whole goal is to protect the realm essentially and make sure that the continents don't get destroyed in some sort of chaotic event. There is free like rooms and food, but the food is not that good, so you can either like take the free food or pay for your food with the money that you get from missions. Payment is essentially like
The lowest amount of gold that you can get during a mission is 100. But that being said, if 100 gold is the lowest amount that you can get, then I mean, at Slip, what are the prices of everything and all of that? And then he has them verbally agree to working for Slip to make sure that any consent is fully like authorized by the people that actually want to join, essentially. So they do consent after Christopher tells them, hey, if you don't consent, we're going to have to wipe your mind because we can't have people knowing about our organization. And if people do know about our organization, then people might come for us. And we don't want that to happen because we're trying to protect the whole entire continent that we're all living on. So I will fully, like, not erase your memories of this event as long as you work for us, essentially. Then, when they agree, he snaps his fingers again. The white void disappears, and they seem to be in what looks like a giant shopping mall style place. This is what Slip is it's a giant, like, mecha, like, humongous mall type thing where you can find almost anything that you need as far as, like, technology. It has far more, like, advanced technology than any other anything that you guys have seen before. And as far as you can tell, there seems to be, like, a whole bunch of crap everywhere that you can go and check out. And then Christopher fully, like, sends them on their way to go and explore, but not before giving them a little dot on their shoulder that makes their, like, the clothes that they want in their mind appear on their body, as far as, like, their torso and, like, pants and stuff like that. But it can't do, like, masks or anything like that, and it can't make you naked. That is the rules that I have set for this. And with that, I will stop for now. Now for the shopping adventure. Essentially, we move on to Sapphire, who goes to try and find a magic item shop. She finds one. It's being run by a camel lady in between a metalworking shop and a leather store. The camel lady sounds like this, and she fully says that there's a clearance section that they can check out specifically, and Sapphire finds rings that are not exactly... The clearance section is terribly, like, managed because it's not labeled in any way of what does what and what's going on with what. There's, like, a bucket full of rings that don't have any, like, actual, like, labeling as to what they do. And Sapphire essentially tries to find something to help her hide in the shadows. She finds 3 rings of what could only be described as, oh, it makes your clothes darker so that you can hide in the shadows better. And she takes it up to the... She grabs one, but slips 2 of the other ones into her, like, pocket. Takes it up to the camel lady, buys that one for, like, 5 silver, and then leaves with 3. It turns out you have to attune to 2 of them technically count as 1 magic item, and you have to attune to those. It only counts as 1 attunement slot, though. Uh, so the rings the rings give you, for every two that you have, it like gives you a +1 to stealth essentially. So she has three. Then we move on to Jesper, who went to a religious sect of the place. This place is actually called the Egg because it has a sort of oval egg shape kind of thing. That's what Slip has like, it's not supposed to be called that. It had a name, and then everybody just kept calling it, oh, that's the Egg. And so now it's just kind of stuck. And Jesper goes over to a religious sect, finds their deities like section in this sect, and finds a Goliath man with blue robes and clothing and like a giant pope hat with a blue on it, and talks about, oh, I'm having trouble figuring out how to communicate to my god, and the guy in the blue robes essentially tells them the only way to truly connect with your god is to first realize your like religion in yourself. Essentially, make it like, make your goal to figure out what you want from this religion, and then you should be able to talk to your god at some point. And then he fully leaves, gives a little bow, and then goes off to pray. And then we move on to Isabella, who is dashing around everywhere trying to look for like a map, finds a map, and then goes to try and look at some of the rooms that they said were provided. Finds that the rooms are separate but are like sectioned off into people that are working together. So you have Isabella, then Jesper and Sapphire all right in between each other. And the funniest part is that Sapphire's door is right in the middle of the other two, which is awesome because Sapphire did not want to work with the two to begin with. It is at this point that the three of them essentially go to their dormitories, find out that yes, their dorms are separated, go into the dorms and figure out that anything that they think of in the room can like be made, but it has to be realistic to the room size. So you can't like think, oh, I want a castle in my room, or else it's going to be like a mural, or it's going to be like a toy set of some sort. And they relax for a second. They find that there's a couple of things that they can imagine that actually pop up. I don't remember the specifics. And then they exit out of their dormitory, or not exit. They have what seems to be a hologram of their director, Christopher, pop out of their suits as they see like a blinking light on their shoulders just project this hologram, and they fuck around with the holograms for a while, trying to like put the hologram through walls. And it's a live feed that everyone can actually hear him, everyone that's a part of the team. So him trying to talk to one of them makes it so that he's talking to all of them, which is really funny because Sapphire is fully trying to bully this guy at this point. So she puts him through like a wall and in a fish tank to try and make him break, as he's trying to explain, hey, I need you in the main lobby. If you guys could come over to the main lobby so that you can get your mission briefing, which the actual training mission that they're going to be going on isn't, it wasn't the goblin thing. That was just to make sure that they survived a encounter, and they weren't completely like weak. So he tells them to come to the main lobby. They get out of their rooms as Sapphire's doing a handstand in order to be funny, but then the hologram closes off. A goblin woman comes, like a buff goblin woman, fully goes out of a door, like her own room, looks at Sapphire, immediately like thinks, "What the fuck? Why are you doing a handstand out in the middle of the hallway?" And then fully just leaves. And the three of them make it to the main like what the I just said it. The main area where they're supposed to be meeting up with Christopher, and they find instead a young intern named Colton, who gives them a summary of their assignment, which is to go to this town called Saple, in the north of, or in the South Lectern region, and find out what's happening and find out what happened to a agent named Kremley, who seems to have disappeared in that region. He doesn't exactly explain everything that's going on, and he kind of stumbles over his words because he is a teenage intern that is very, very much awkward. But Christopher comes back onto the hologram in order to make sure that they know the rest of it. They essentially go into that. They essentially have to infiltrate this carnival, figure out what's going on as far as the town is concerned. Why are people outsiders of the town disappearing, but why are the locals not? Find Kremley, which is their main directive, and figure out how, what's going on, essentially. They also get told that they have, a house that is their cover, because they need to go over there, sign a lease in order to look like they are local, and make sure that the carnival doesn't label them as outside people. But only two people's names are on the lease, technically, so one of them is going to have to be left out of that. But they come up with a plan to pretend that one of them is a child, and Isabella is small enough, because she's a fairy, to pretend to be a child, essentially. After the mission briefing, they find the tubes that they use to teleport to the town, after Isabella already essentially ping-ponged throughout the super mall to figure out where everything was. So she knew that there were tubes that they could use to teleport to places that they needed to get. And we had this whole big thing about how you can teleport bread into the tubes. No other food seems to change, but the tube makes bread slightly more cooked, so it's essentially become toast. And now that's canon to the story, is that the teleporters can make toast if you teleport once with the bread. But if you teleport too much with the bread, then it becomes burnt. And so they teleport right into a fountain, and they see an old lady feeding ducks. But as soon as they notice the old lady, one of them notices that the old lady saw them teleport into the fountain, reacted, and then forgot immediately. So they don't worry about it. The old lady has a conversation with them, and they essentially introduce themselves. She gives them some bread so that they can feed the ducks, and Isabella talks to one of the ducks with one of her abilities, and get some information from the duck about how it seems that only the circus has only been here for a couple of days, and that Kremley only came for like in a shorter time than was like they thought he would have come. The duck gets bred, and they notice that a sweaty man with a comb over, dressed in what is supposed to be a business, like a nice business suit, but is kind of ruffled and again sweaty, tries to wave them over, and he essentially tells them, "I'm the landlord. I need one of you, or I need you to come to the lease. Also, I don't remember you having like saying that you had a child, so we're going to need to do some paperwork about that." But they end up convincing him that, yeah, we forgot to tell you about the child, and we'll make sure that he or that she gets like signed up after the census and all that. So Peyton's character, Sapphire, goes with the landlord, and the other two split off to go to the carnival. I'm going to just get Sapphire's thing out of the way. Sapphire essentially gets brought into the house, and the realtor man has other things that he has to go do, so he needs to leave Sapphire for a second to do the paperwork. And as he tries to leave, Sapphire fully pickpockets him, looks into his wallet, but doesn't find anything. So gives it back to him, which is big character development because Sapphire is technically a thief. And in exchange, he gives her like 5 silver or something along those lines. Sapphire, after the guy leaves, looks at the paper and fully signs the lease, but notices there seems to be red like coming from the ink. It's really weird because for some reason the ink glows a little bit redder. And the names on the lease are actually both Johnson Phillips! Both of the parents are named Johnson Phillips, and they don't know what the child's name is, but apparently it's also Johnson Phillips. So, yep. We get then cut to the other two who are going up to the carnival, and immediately see a 15-year-old like manning the ticket counter. They go up, they talk to him, and they try and convince him that Isabella is fully just a 5-year-old because 5-year-olds technically get in free. But then he realizes, oh yeah, she's obviously older than that. But Jesper convinces him that it's not that she's like she's 6, but she has a like mental disability. Therefore, he should let her in free as well. And the 15-year-old is like not. He doesn't want to deal with any of this, so he's just like, go ahead. But the funniest part is that one ticket is stamped F, and Jesper gets that ticket, and one ticket is stamped E, and Isabella gets that ticket. They go into the carnival. They find that there are a couple of things that they can do. There's a Ferris wheel, a haunted house, a big show that's going on, a fortune teller's booth, and a couple of different foods, meat skewer shop, a fruit shop, maybe like a water stand. They choose to go towards the main show because there's a bunch of people already going there, and it seems to be a big thing going on. There seems to be like some sort of like magic kind of thing going on, and they choose to go in there as Sapphire comes over to the place, which is it's essentially on a hill, but it's surrounded by wooden pillars as like a fence gate kind of thing, and the only way in is through the ticket booth. But I told them that if they wanted to try and jump the fence, they could fully attempt to do so. And Sapphire tries to sneak in by like essentially grabbing a ticket, but notices that her ticket has a E on it, but slips in without much trouble. All three of them, not like at the same time, but those two are get like caught up in a conversation with this guy that is really creepy. It's essentially a really tall man, fully bald. If you've seen like salad fingers, if you know what that is, if you don't, please look it up, because that is the basis for this character. He is a really lanky man, bald, with like gray skin, and they don't see this until the very end, but he has baby arms, and has a conductor's coat that like has shadow moving inside of it, so that you cannot see what's actually going on inside of the conductor's coat, and it's fully going down to his legs, so you can't see him actually walking. And essentially he is meant to look at people's tickets to make sure that they have tickets to begin with, and they have the correct ticket. So those two get like off scot-free. They have their tickets. They actually like paid for it. They went into the show, but Sapphire has an e-ticket, and the tall guy seems to be acting really strange that she has an e-ticket to begin with, but doesn't say anything for now, and Sapphire chooses to go into the haunted house. We cut back over to the big top, or the big tent that our Jesper and Isabella went into, and the conductor comes down as the show starts, on a rope, spinning and spiraling down, trying to do like a cool trick with his cane as he does so. Points at the crowd, and I believe Isabella notices that the tickets start glowing a little bit of like a red color as he points his cane at everybody in the crowd. And people in the crowd suddenly start paying more attention to the actual show. Like, you see less people talking amongst themselves, and they seem to have their eyes transfixed on him specifically. The starting act that happens is a knife thrower who the conductor, or not conductor, but the ringmaster chooses a volunteer for, and Jesper is the one that goes down to like have the knife thrower like almost hit Jesper like straight up in the face with a natural 20 as it gets right by their head, but not like enough to where it actually hurt them. And while that's happening, Jesper does notice that the ticket that they have isn't glowing. So that might be the reason why the knife thrower may have not killed them, or something along those lines. After that, there was a couple of more acts. The only other thing of note that happened is it seems like red, like poofy mist came out as clowns were summoned, and the clown act began throwing like they started throwing pies at each other and goofing around and doing what clowns do. We move over to Sapphire inside of the House of Horrors, going through, not being phased by any of it, because apparently Sapphire is just no fun, and there's fully just a guy that I'm pretty sure gets really mad that Sapphire just doesn't get scared in any way, shape, or form, and instead tries to straight up talk to him, but like close to the end, as Sapphire is wrapping up the House of Horror, she notices that there's a door that's slightly ajar, and she sneaks her way in without changing where the door's location is. Finds that this is a changing room, but notices that there is a map sprawled out on a wooden table, and looking at it, she sees X's across a bunch of houses in town except for two, as well as X's on a couple of places in the carnival, namely the Big Top, the Fortune Teller's Tent, and the Meat Skewer Shop. And as Sapphire leaves, that our group meets up once again, and they are approached by the ticket man, the person that was checking people's tickets, the tall, lanky guy. The big, lanky guy, the ticket guy, comes over and specifically talks to Sapphire and tries to get Sapphire's ticket because he noticed that she has the wrong one. She gives it to him, and now Sapphire technically doesn't have a ticket. The lanky man leaves, and the three of them go to the fortune teller's tent as Sapphire tells the others what's going on and what's on the map. All three of them pay in order to get into the fortune teller's tent, and then meet a lady with a hat with an eyeball on it, kind of like a third eye. She talks like this and essentially tells them, hey, you should probably leave. And from what they can tell based on their inside checks, she is fully telling the truth. She doesn't, she's not bullshitting them. And as this is happening, the E-ticket glows a blue and the F-ticket glows a golden color, as the fortune teller is telling their fortunes. They also see in the fortune teller's eyes, as she is telling them to get out while they have the chance, the tall, lanky guy in the reflection of her eyes as she's explaining that there's danger. So Jesper and Isabella decide to try and leave, while Sapphire decides to stay behind in order to get her new ticket and then join the others. The problem is the tall, lanky guy does come back, not paying attention to the other two, but paying attention specifically to Sapphire, and tells her that there's no like extra tickets at the ticket booth, so he's going to lead her to somewhere where he can give her a ticket with the appropriate letter assigned to her. He leads her over to the fortune teller booth that they just came from, and the table has already been pushed aside, and the crystal ball that was on top of it that was attached to the table, forgot to mention that part, has been essentially moved to reveal that there's a trap door underneath the table. And Sapphire decides to fully go with the man, but cleverly decides to pour out a little bit of ink, like not ink, but like gasoline, or well, something, the things that you use to light a lamp, gas. Fuck. You know what I'm talking about. I think it's gas. I'm pretty sure it's gas. I'm just going to assume that it's gas. Anyways, so yeah, Sapphire fully pours that out in a trail leading behind her as she enters the underneath of the fortune teller booth and sees a blue light coming from down there. As she gets a couple of steps down, she notices that the tall, lanky man that I essentially just named security because that's what he is, fully is not there with her, and instead the trapdoor shuts, fully trapping her inside. And as she looks up at the trapdoor that just closed, she hears in one of her ears the sound of a honking nose as she realizes, oh, she's trapped in there with something. And then she lights a match really quick, sees that there are 5 clowns right in front of her, and immediately lights the oil, starting a fire up top in the fortune teller booth. As she starts initiative with these clowns and tries to essentially do a little fight with them. Well, there's fire going on upstairs. Oh my god. As the fight starts, or, well, technically before the fight starts, Sapphire throws a bunch of the it's some sort of fluid that lights things on fire. I'm pretty sure it's not lighter fluid because that's not what it's called, but I don't remember the name of it currently. I don't know why I'm yelling at myself. Anyways, Sapphire fully drenches the clowns in this like liquid to light them on fire, and then does so when she hits the match with the other, like, when the fortune teller's booth gets set on fire, so do the clowns. As they get set on fire, she fully disengages, goes through them, and immediately sees that Kremley, as well as a couple of other people, have been stuck in here and trapped inside of vats, and have IVs sucking out their blood, going somewhere that she can't see. So she fully books it somewhere so that she can hide in the shadows while the clowns are dealing with the fire that is currently engulfing them. She also notices that there are 2 little, what seem to be clown carts that they saw clowns get out of beforehand, and then chooses to make what is essentially a Molotov cocktail to throw at one of the carts, bursting it open with fire. And as she does that, 3 clowns pop out of that cart and the other cart, and the other, like, the clowns that are on fire fully start tumbling down the stairs. And with that, we're going to move back over to the other 2 who are currently upstairs and leaving the building, and fully see, oh crap, there's smoke. Someone started a fire, and literally Jesper goes, my fake wife is probably on fire right now. So Jesper and Isabella go back over to the like circus, and Jesper goes inside, but Isabella fully flies over to try and see what's going on. She sees that the security guy that caused this whole mess, or well, caused in quotations, because it was Sapphire that started the fire, but it was him that trapped her down there, which made her start the fire. You know. Anyways, the security guy is trying to help put out the fire, but isn't really doing a good job. And the like fire, not fire. The leader, the ringmaster, comes out of the like main tent and seems to just fully bulk up, like turn into a like bigger version of himself. He was a skinny white guy, and then he essentially turned into the Hulk, kind of like a Bruce Banner style situation. You see that, and you see, yeah, okay. A bunch of people are trying to help put out the fire. You can see the fortune teller is mortified. They saw that the fortune teller was mortified. Words are hard, man. And then Jesper chooses to fully just start attacking the security guy, thinking that he was the one that caused this situation, which technically he did. Uses a spiritual weapon to smack him in the face, and does a lot of damage. And this causes something to trigger in the security guy, where he essentially shows his true form. He fully just, four massive legs, starts like running on all fours with his baby hands, grabbing people and bringing them over to the main tent. For some reason, he grabs around two people and brings them over there. Well, the fortune teller heals him first, and then gets immediately smacked as well by Jesper in the heat of battle. And with that, we can end this one. I'm going to do all of the basement stuff first before I go back up top, just to get it out of the way, because I think there's less that happens down there than it up top. To summarize, during the basement fight, there is a lot of clown fire. A lot of clowns get set on fire, and Sapphire is bouncing around the room trying to hide and then go back into a corner, but the clowns are slowly catching her every once in a while, and at some point she gets put in a corner as fire is raging in another corner, and the clowns are trying to pull one of the carts out of the fire, but it seems to fully burn away, along with a couple of other clowns. The other cart, it seems to be doing perfectly fine, and more and more clowns are starting to spawn as Sapphire gets smacked really hard, like in one of the corners, by like one, or I believe like 4 clowns all at the same time hit her, and she like nearly gets downed, but then she manages to just dash her way through there and try and get all the way over to the steps, goes up the stairs, and sees that the stairs are also slowly getting caught on fire as fire is spreading, not just in the corner where she lit the Molotov cocktail, but also the fortune teller's tent, which she's trying to escape from. She pops her head out to see what was going on during the whole scuffle topside, and with that, I'm going to move on to the topside scuffle in a separate one. What was happening? Well, that basement stuff was going on. Essentially, the two got into a massive fight with specifically the ringmaster. The fortune teller, as soon as she got hit, blessed her allies, the security guy and the ringmaster, and then just fully dipped over to somewhere where the players couldn't see, but I secretly knew that I was going to have her go over to the meat skewer shop in order to see what was happening in the fortune teller's tent, because she knew that there was something happening underneath her shop. She did not know what it was, but she knows that the ringmaster put something underneath there and it connected to the meat skewer shop. She found that her minions, the clowns, were suffering like through fire, and helped pull a cart out of there so that they could all escape, because they were all able to fit inside of the cart, because clowns getting out of like a tiny car, you know how it is. They also managed to get Kremli stuffed inside of the car, though it took a little bit of work. Some clowns did die in the fire, and like I said, one of the carts fully did burn. The basement fully didn't get put out, so it burned completely. All of the vats were essentially destroyed. Some of the clowns essentially killed the people down there so that they wouldn't have to die in fire, because the clowns are essentially following orders, and the fortune teller told them to kill off the people. The fortune teller is only able to command the clowns because in the back of the meat skewer shop there is a red nose that you can essentially command all of these clowns to do your bidding. And the ringmaster already knew about this, because the ringmaster and the security are in on the whole plan to do what they were going to do to begin with the different tickets and the reason why the leases were being glowing a certain color and stuff like that, and the reason why people are not showing up that much or disappearing and stuff like that. Yeah, so the fortune teller is off doing her own stuff. The security guard is fully going back and forth. The other two don't really mess with him all that much because they're kind of focused on the fire. So he's going back and forth, grabbing people, putting them in the tent, and they don't see this, but he fully is starting to strap them down. They do notice, however, that the people that he's taking are the ones with the F tickets, which means that they're locals of the town, and he's going back and forth to grab them, put them in seats, and restrain them. And the only reason that they're not able to do anything about it is because they seem to start being transfixed at the center of the circle, because there seems to be a summoning circle that was edged into the dirt, and no one noticed that it was there because they were too busy paying attention to the ringmaster. The people that were there, I believe around 14 or so people, were grabbed before our heroes actually made it into the tent and decided to do something about it. But during that time, the fight with the ringmaster was happening, which I will get to in our next one. The whole time that all of these secret things are happening and people are not knowing what's going on, the fire is fully spreading, and the ringmaster is trying to fight our other two people. the ringmaster goes to try and hit Jesper, but misses. Isabella fully turns into an alligator after flying over the ringmaster and trying to snap down on his head as he holds her mouth agape and starts just fully punching the inside of her her being and stabbing her with his spear. And he essentially beats her up until she has to unwild shape, and she attempts to reason with him by casting Charm Person. I messed up and thought that it did work when I forgot to add the Bless from the Fortune Teller, which would have made it succeed, or would have made it fail, but I gave it to Isabella, and said that he would follow the command one round, and Isabella told him to essentially, we're trying to help, go start putting out the fire, as he's contemplating, because oh, you're beating up my security guard, and I'm assuming that you're the one that started this fire to begin with, but now you want me to put it out? It's he is very confused because he has no idea what's going on. He wasn't out here to overhear everything that happened with the ticket guy, and he wasn't informed that someone had been led down the fortune teller's place and stuff like that. So the fire is still raging. It makes it to the fortune teller's tent, the fruit stand that was selling exclusively fruit, apparently, the water place, and it was about to make it to this meat skewer before the ringmaster was able to pierce the water tank with his javelin and bring it over to himself, putting out the water tent specifically. It was also moving over to the main tent and fully caught fire to the horror attraction, which fully burnt down and is gone, as well as the fortune teller's tent, which also fully burnt down and was gone by the time that they fully got everything settled. It was about to hit the Ferris wheel, but they managed to put out that fire. They managed to put out every other fire before other places burned down, but some places were left scorched and scarred. And as they put out the fire, the big tent, the big top, starts glowing and emanating a purple aura. Also, as the fire is raging, we see that Jesper goes to try and help Sapphire, because Sapphire popped her head out after she dodged all of the clowns and went through them. So Jesper pulls Sapphire out of the basement as the thing is on fire still, by the way. The stairs are on fire, and so is the fortune teller's tent. So they both essentially get caught on fire. But they manage to get out. Sapphire fully rolls and does a cool runs over to the exit, puts herself out, and then lands on her feet sliding, as she notices that people are a bunch of people are already running because there was a fire going on, and the security is still grabbing people and moving them over to the big tent. And the ringmaster, Isabella, and Jesper all are going to start going over to where the big top is, and discover that there is a ritual going on. The ringmaster doesn't go there until like after all of the fires put out, but our other two fully go over there to see what's going on once they know, oh, the ringmaster will take care of the rest. Now that there's no more fire to spread, the two, Isabella and Jesper, go over to the big top and see that there is a ritual going on. The security guy is currently strapping people in. There's about 14 people, and the sigil in the middle of the big top is glowing with a 6-pointed star going around it. And as the security goes to try and like get more people, Isabella fully uses mold earth to open a hole in one of the like corners of this 6-pointed star, and it seems to make the ritual work less, essentially make it like not fully stop, but make it less powerful. She keeps trying to do this. She manages to get 3 done, not without attempting to kick the dirt in order to get rid of one, but failing and figuring out, oh, I should probably still just fully use my magic, because there seems to be a small hole that is growing larger, and they do not know where it leads as the ritual is happening. While this is happening, Jesper is going over to try and deal with the security, and at that moment, Sapphire also runs into the tent and goes against the security and fully just stabs him in the jugular. Security is dead as he opens his jaw like he was like an alien or something like that, just like, you know. My brother is commenting on me trying to tell this story. Okay, it's not hot, I think. Maybe? Huh.
I meant the guy opening his mouth.
Yeah, I know. I know what you meant. Okay, anyways. Yeah, so Sapphire fully, like, stabs him in the neck. He falls over dead. The cloak falls off of his body, and the ringmaster manages to finally make his way inside of the tent to see that the security guy that he hired is now stabbed in the neck and is dead. And he saw that Jesper helped with this killing, so he immediately goes for Sapphire because he saw that Sapphire killed the security guy, throws a spear, and Sapphire immediately gets thunked in the head and gets dropped, like fully knocked, and is going to make death saves. Jesper heals Sapphire so that she gets back up, while Isabella goes to try and like, she's still trying to finish off the like 6-pointed star, and then Jesper and Sapphire both go over to the ringmaster. Sapphire attempts to hide away from the ringmaster and is successful because Peyton's character, specifically rogues, are fucking broken. Oh, I love it. It's all love. It's all love. We love it. The ringmaster attempts to escape over to the hole, but gets stabbed in the neck by Sapphire, fully killing him, but he also manages to make it over to the hole before he dies. They all see that he attempts to try and open up the hole in order to try and get inside for some reason, and then he falls over dead, bleeding into the hole. They think that it's going to be a bad thing that there's blood going into this hole, and so they attempt specifically, Isabella attempts to try and pull this this guy away from it, but gets a natural one, and instead of getting pulled away from it, the hole grows larger, and a tentacle comes out of the hole and grabs onto the arm and starts pulling both Isabella and the dead body into the hole itself. Oh, and with that, I will stop there. Isabella is now being dragged, and the body is going to slowly start getting dragged as well into the hole. It only stops at like around the shoulder length because his body, the ringmaster's body, is way too big to actually fit inside of the hole. So his arm is slowly getting ripped off, and then Jesper and Sapphire notice that there seems to be clowns marching over to the tent as Sapphire goes over to try and help Isabella with like pulling the dead body. Isabella fully turns her attention to making sure the hole doesn't get any larger by breaking the six-sided star like points, and she manages to break the rest of them, or at least break like two more, so the hole doesn't get larger. The arm on the ringmaster fully snaps and goes into the hole, but the rest of the body doesn't seem to go anywhere, and namely his spear, that seemed to be special in some way, like seemed to have some sort of special property, considering he was able to chuck it and then fully pull it back without the string snapping, and it's a fully metal spear, so the Sapphire manages to get the body away from the hole, and Isabella is fully about to destroy the last hole, but as this is happening, Jesper is having a talk with the fortune teller, who is on top of one of the clown carts, the last one that like didn't burn in the fire as she was helping the clowns earlier, and there's around an army of like 10 clowns marching on the big top, as she is holding Kremli, the person they were supposed to like leave with, and she fully admits she has no idea what's going on. She doesn't know why there's a circle like inside of the big top that's glowing purple. She doesn't know why there's people strapped down, and she fully orders the clowns with the nose to go like unstrap people. As this is happening, Isabella fully destroys the last part of the circle. The little hole that was like that sucked up his arm fully closes, and Jesper and the fortune teller lady seem to come to an understanding. After Kremli is returned, Jesper finds a red nose inside of his pocket, Kremli's pocket specifically, and the shoulder like beeping system goes off, and it shows a hologram of their director, Christopher. He shows up and basically tells them, hey, you know, the mission that I actually sent you for isn't to get this guy. I kind of tricked you in that way. And then Kremli fully turns into like a golem and fuses with the earth. So he's essentially a lump of rock. And Christopher explains that he sent Kremli to deal with this situation, but Kremli didn't come back, so he thought it would be a great training mission for them to essentially stop a god from being summoned. They were trying to summon a demon god, the god Kurt, and Christopher thought, oh, this would be a great starter mission for new recruits. See if they can't, not die from a bunch of clowns and other people and sneak inside of a circus. And essentially, everything is resolved. Christopher tells them how to teleport, which is they simply tap the shoulder thing. The shoulder thing has a couple of different things that it can do. They first learned that it can go away if you tap it. It can broadcast a hologram, as they have shown in the past. It can also help them teleport, and it has a manual built in now, as Christopher has fully unlocked the ability to see the different things that it can actually do. Before, they could only tap it and get rid of it, but now they can tap it. There's a little screen that comes up, and it has the options to fully get naked, which they technically have their original clothes on underneath the holographic clothes. It's not really much of it's clothes that make it look like you're wearing different clothes. It's not actually beneficial clothes. You still need clothes underneath those clothes, if that makes sense. And then there's the option to teleport back to base, and then fully, just as I said before, we made this canon, they can teleport bread straight to them. It seems that they have an infinite supply of bread that they can teleport over to their location, and they find out the hard way that once they teleport with the bread that has already been teleported, because every time that the bread gets teleported, it becomes more crispy, so they teleport again, and suddenly the bread becomes burnt and can't be eaten. They get back. Christopher attempts to give them their payment of 500 gold for fully completing their mission, as well as the side price for completing the secondary mission, which was technically find Kremley and get him back, but he switched them around, so they thought they were supposed to specifically find Kremley, and then they didn't have to figure out what was going on. I don't know why he decided to do that, because I didn't know why I decided to do that. Yep, I'm a goofy little guy. Okay, anyways. And Sapphire fully tries to threaten Christopher. Christopher shows off what he has up his sleeve, which is he has his own team that is there to protect him if he needs it, fully summoning 4 gorillas by his side, as well as 2 stone golems. Christopher walks away, giving them an extra 200 gold for completing the side task, and our heroes finally get to move over to their dorm rooms and fully fall asleep. As they level up and we finish our first session. My god, this was a large one, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen when you try and join.